So, in my discussion we have seen that how social networking sites have been used for knowledge sharing by people across individuals, groups and organizations. Okay. And you can use it in a different way. You can make friends, you can have professional networks also. Okay. You can interact and have a dialogue with people, you can even post information. Okay. And that is how social networking sites have been found to be very useful so far as knowledge sharing is concerned. Now, if you look at the enterprise use of knowledge sharing through social networking sites, it is in a big way that most of the organizations today have a Facebook page through which they are sharing lot of information, and that is being used for contact management, okay, for marketing purposes, for knowledge sharing, for talent management, for advantages, for self organization, and also they are trying to use it as to get some leverages, okay, when they are trying to see that how people are being connected and how it could be useful for them. Now, if you look at the use of enterprise, as I told you that they have you have Facebook pages through which you can interact, share information, have dialogue, even can post information to the companies, even companies can post information to the individuals and groups, okay, and that is how they have been able to manage the contact in the organizations and outside the with the outside world also. You know that even Facebook and other LinkedIn have been used for marketing, advertising, recruiting and different kind of activities for their products and the people. Similarly, it is well known that these Facebook sites, social networking sites have been used for knowledge sharing, whether it is Facebook, whether it is LinkedIn, or whether it is Twitter, or whether it is what you call YouTube. So, most of these websites have been extensively used for knowledge sharing, okay, where you can upload information, where you can download information, when you can watch audio and video, and where you can find lot of useful information depending upon your interest and liking. Okay. Social networking sites have also been used for talent management, okay, because people, when you are going to watch videos related to the organizations, they would be able to create an impression about the reputation, about the brand, the image of the organization, okay, which might attract them. So, you are going to post very useful information through these websites about the character of the organization, what it does, what kind of product and services it offers, what kind of practices it follows for people, okay, so that it helps people to decide whether they want to stay with the organization, whether they want to join this organization or not. And then at the same time, it also helps them to self organize, because since most of the information is in the public domain, you try to present a better picture of yourself, and that is where you try to organize yourself in a better way, okay. And that helps you to also helps you to have real world connection. When I am talking about real world connection, it means you can get reactions, feedbacks from anywhere, anytime, from any people across the world, right, if they are going to post certain information. For example, you buy a product, okay, and you are not from the organization and the product is faulty, okay, and you are not able to provide good services, okay. The person who has suffered because of a faulty product may post this information on the social networking sites, okay, and then people will come to know that this organization is not good so far as service delivery is concerned or providing quality services is concerned, right, and they do not respond to the customer's requirement. And you know that it becomes viral in no time, and then everybody comes to know about the organization. So, this helps to create a kind of image which is not very favorable to the organization. I give an example. Recently, one of my friends purchased a product from a very good company, but it was not working well to start with, okay. And when they tried to contact customer care, they were taking lot of time to replace and do all kind of things. But ultimately, he posted this information on the web page and also to the Facebook. So, everybody started commenting about that. Looking at the response, the customer care of unit of the organization came forward to help the person and immediately replaced it, so that it is not able to create a bad impression, okay. So, that is how you are connected to the real world, and that is how you are trying to create an image for yourself, okay, a better image for yourself. So, it has become very, very important today to use social networking sites to get feedback about the organizations, how well they do, you are doing, what you are doing, how are selling your products and services, and all kind of things are being done using these social networking sites. Now, I am going to talk about another thing which is very, very important, like Wikis, okay. Wikis are nothing but it is a collection of web pages which could be edited by anybody. Okay. So, like you have Wikipedia. Okay. Wikipedia is the largest compilation of information knowledge. Okay. The only thing is that most of the information may not be authentic and reliable, okay, because anybody can update, edit, share information and knowledge. Okay. So, it is basically the content is generated by the users. So, you go to the Wikipedia page, you can upload any information that you want related to any field, it will be remain there, and it will also recognize that yes, you have uploaded it. So, another person can also go through this information, if found that certain things are wrong, they can update it, they can go for editing it. So, most of the content that you can found on this wikis are user basically generated, okay, because the organization the system does not generate any content. So, any content that is generated by people is going to be compiled and kept over there, okay, and it is voluntary, you are not going to be paid for it. So, organization does not pay any money for uploading the content. So, it is your choice whether you want to upload any content on the wikis or not, okay, and it is a collaborative effort, lot of people are doing it. Okay. Similarly, there is no formal or professional review, in the sense that any information that is being compiled and uploaded on these kind of websites, okay, there is no review, professional review or formal review. So, the reliability and validity of the information that is being uploaded or posted on these sites is not very credible. I am not saying that it is not credible at all, but since there is no professional or formal review of the information in terms of its reliability and validity, okay, it is not guaranteed. Okay. You can use this information at your own choice, but lot of people are using this information because this provides some information at surface level, may not be the deeper level, but and if you go to the link, then you can get better information using those things. Okay. So, approval comes from collective wisdom, depending upon your knowledge and experience, you are going to see whether you are going to use it or not, and whether it is relevant or not. And what I was telling you, that you have a Wikipedia, which is the largest compilation of information on the web, right. It is a kind of online encyclopedia where you can find any kind of information in any field, okay. And it has the data says that it has 3 million articles in English, which has grown up now, it may be around 5 to 6 million articles. Okay. So, wikis have been very useful in that sense, okay, to get information, and lot of information being updated. The only thing is that reliability and validity is at stake. Okay. Now, you have weblogs, which is known as blogs. Okay. Weblogs is another medium through which you are going to share information and knowledge. Okay. You have web diaries or journals that is posted in reverse chronological order, okay, and you also use it. Organizations can also have their own blogs to communicate with people, to also to communicate with the media coming out of the breaking news. Okay. And you also can post a lot of events that is happening, okay, on these blogs. Okay. You have army of Twitter, basically is the micro blogging services which is being used. Okay. So, Twitter is also there, which is very important, because you can tweet about anything and any issue or any happening that is happening. Even you can break a particular news using these kind of things. Okay. And basically it creates a kind of facilitator for online presence for maintaining weak ties. Okay. It depends upon whether how you are going to use it. Okay. You can criticize somebody using these kind of things, you can appreciate somebody, okay, and that is how it is being used. Okay. So, I mean because there is no control of the organizer or the system over it, you are going to use and abuse this system. There is a moderator, if you are going to do it, if you want you can also take back, or you can retweet, or you can take out whatever you have written over there. Okay. So, these facilities are there. Then another important development has taken place, like open source document, which is very popular. When most of the information which is it is a open source document, it means it is available to anybody for use. Okay. Even you know that journals and magazines has also come open source. Okay. Whether you do not pay any fees to access the information, if it is a open source document. Okay. And it has come after the development of a particular system that is known as ARPANET. Okay. And where you have free exchange of code for researchers. So, if you are a researcher, you are to use the journal, and if it is available in open source, you can have access without paying any subscription to it. Okay. And that is why it is known as open source. Okay. The advantage of open source is that lot of information that is available there can be accessed by you without any payment, but without any subscription. Okay. So, it is almost free of cost that you can have this information. The idea of using this open source or having an open source document is to make available information freely online to whosoever requires it. That is the basic idea of having a open source system. Okay. It was again coined by Tom O'Reilly. It is very collaborative because people make efforts to provide information to this kind of system. The only thing that you require software for this, okay, which is going to manage the content, and any kind of information if you want to have access, the only thing that you require is the internet through which you can have access to journals and magazines or any information that is available as a open source document. Okay. And this Free Software Foundation is basically a legal entity under which the open source document moves or it also operates. So, there is no problem because it is very legal. Now, if you look at this open source initiatives, there are certain principles which is followed by this open source development softwares. It basically believes in free distribution of information. So, you do not pay anything, okay. And then you use certain source codes to get the information. Okay. It could be a derived work, integrity of the author's work is not questionable, okay. And there is no discrimination for people or groups, and anybody have equal access. Okay. So, that is another important issue for this. Similarly, the only thing that you have to look at it, the distribution of the license. Okay. So, you must get a license for a product if you want to have it in a open source, okay, and it should not restrict other software. So, any kind of software can be used, okay, and it should be technology neutral. It means that you can use a different platform to access information through this open source document. It could be Linux, it could be Windows based, it could be Android based, or what you call say iOS platform. So, any kind of platform can be used. Okay. So, it has to be technology neutral, so that open source document can be accessed by the people. Now, if you look at open source development, okay, there are a lot of projects which have been very successful in open source document, and it starts with Linux, where they went for porting this Unix system. Unix system is very unique in the sense that it does not have viruses, and it is very beneficial because your document is safe and secure when you are going to have access, and you cannot create any kind of disturbance into the system. Similarly, you have Apache, the most web used server basically, which is used by people. Then you have bind, basically underpinning of the domain name system through which you are being controlled, and then MySQL basically talks about the relational database management system, that how we are going to have access and control over the system. And if bugs are found, and it could be fixed very quickly because you have systems in place. Okay. And newer and newer versions are coming up regularly. So, these are the different kind of projects which are very successful when you are talking about the open source document projects. Okay. Now, the major questions that has come out, that why people are going to participate in open source projects, okay, and why they want to create open source document, right. Because there is a need for such products, because everybody cannot afford it, and then you also want to see that people have access to the information. Okay. They should know what you are doing, why you are doing. So, if you are going to put in open source framework, probably people will have access to it without any cost and other things, right. Then it also you have another thing, that yes, you once you have created an open source document, people are reading it, people recognize that you have created it. So, it creates some kind of, you can say, satisfaction to the people who are going for these kind of things. Okay. And the idea is to create and improve. Okay. So, you get feedback about your paper. Suppose you have a paper you have published in open source journal. Okay. So, you get feedback, you can improve upon it, people have access to it. So, people come to know what you are doing, which provide you not only intrinsic satisfaction, but also helps you to see that how, based on feedback, how you can grow and develop yourself. Okay. It also provides you affiliation, identity, and value and ideology, because since you are tagged with this, you provide your affiliation is known, okay, your identity is known. So, because open source document does not hide these kind of things, it recognizes all these things. Okay. And then you also come to know that what is happening outside the world. Okay. And it may help you to develop you personally and professionally. Okay. You go through learning opportunities, you can also train yourself, because you have access to the information through this open source. Okay. So, these are some of the motivations for which open source participation is very important. So, another important thing is moving to the virtual world, which is the new development. Okay. And here I am talking about two different projects which has come up of late, that is metaverse and project Wonderland. If you look at this metaverse, is basically is a parallel online abstraction of the offline world. It is interactions by avatars, Second Life and developed by Linden Labs. This is one example that I have given of virtual worlds, and basically it is a highly interactive, it is 3-dimensional in nature. Similarly, you will find that it works in real time, it is a social network sites basically, okay. And that is where you go for virtual economy and currency. So, everything that happens here is virtual, okay. So, any kind of transaction, any kind of sharing, any kind of information transaction all takes place virtually, okay. And you this is being used for recreation, marketing, political campaigning, socializing, entertainment and commerce. So, it has lot of applications, that is why most of the companies and organizations are using this for entertainment, for marketing their products also. Even it could be used for political campaigning also. You know that digital media is very much used for political campaigning these days. Like you might get information from political parties on your SMS, your email, okay, or even phones also. Okay. So, they are using these kind of platforms for political campaigning to make you aware about what they want to do, what they do not want to do, and it is also used for socializing. Okay. And also it has a commercial value, because you can even sell or buy your products online. Okay. And then avatars interacts in the 3D world known as grid. So, they have a system software and hardware in place, okay, and for running these kind of systems. Now, another project which has come up of late is known as Project Wonderland. If you look at this Project Wonderland, it is done by Sun Microsystems. It is used for visual collaboration, virtual collaboration actually. It run on Java, and it is an open document format basically, and it uses XML to change the visual world. So, these are two examples that I have taken here, this Metaverse and Project Wonderland, and these are both you can say open source document, and they are very very useful. It has lot of applications for you can say various activities for not only organizations, but also other kind of organizations also, not only industrial organizations, but other kind of organizations also. Okay. And that is why the kind of technology that is required for these virtual worlds are much more different compared to the physical world. So, having a knowledge management system in a virtual world is different, because the kind of technology, the kind of complexity in the software and hardware that is involved is very very different, but it has been very very useful, because it is more interactive and lot of activities can be done using these kind of virtual worlds. Now, if you look at the future, what are the various issues that is coming to the picture? Okay. Now, here we try to summarize the whole things. Okay. Now, if you look at the future of knowledge management, what is happening basically, that is a major question. See, we have talked about knowledge management system, we have talked about the architecture, we have talked about how we are going to create, capture, disseminate and use knowledge, how knowledge management system is going to be useful for the organizations. We also looked into the legal, ethical and managerial issues. Okay. We also tried to examine what is the latest development happening in the digital media space, which is changing the nature of interactions and these kind of things. Now, if you look at all this, what lies in the future so far as knowledge management system, because the technology is evolving very fast. Okay. So, if you think that knowledge management, knowledge as a product, okay. So, since each product has a life cycle, okay. So, knowledge which is being created and put in the repositories and the system is going to be obsolete and outdated. Okay. So, you need to create, the most important thing is a dynamic knowledge management system, so that you are able to manage and maintain an updated system with current knowledge. Okay. And for that, the kind of systems, the kind of technology, the kind of readiness, the kind of leadership, culture, support system that would be required would be very very different. Okay. Now, if you look at some of the major trends, the first major trend is coming from what we call the IT. How the IT system is changing. Okay. IT that is related to this development of the software and hardwares, and the development of the communication technology, or development of various softwares, programs and these kind of things. Okay. Now, how KM is going to be benefited by using this information technology, we have all seen that, but the way that IT, the nature of IT itself is changing, the nature of information and communication technology is going to have a big influence on the knowledge management system, right. See, the way we have moved from MIS to DSS to expert systems to artificial intelligence, okay. It is trying to be more 3-dimensional, it is going to be more interactive, okay, in real time, and these things are happening because of the development in the technology. Okay. Similarly, you will also find the way people have been communicating, okay, has changed, right. And since we are moving more and more to virtual world for all kind of transactions, okay, with the help of information communication technology, okay, the transactions that is happening, whether it is creation of knowledge, whether it is transforming tacit to explicit, whether it is using knowledge, okay. And when we are going to use the online platforms, and the nature of the online platform itself is going to change. So, we need to judge that how the nature of the changing online platforms and systems of ICT is going to benefit knowledge management system. So, this is one major trend that need to be explored. So, we have to see that how KM is going to evolve itself using this changing ICT systems in future, and what kind of benefits it is going to derive in terms of decision making, in terms of problem solvings, in terms of improving the efficiency and productivity of the organization. Okay. Now, if you look at the second major issue, it talks about that KM will continue the shift from towards integrated knowledge from a variety of different perspectives. Okay. See, our focus has been on creating knowledge, capturing knowledge, disseminating and using knowledge within the enterprise. Okay. Now, since we are going to live in a competitive world where confrontation is not required, but we need to collaborate. Okay. Even in order to compete, we have to collaborate with each other, right. So, if we are going to live in this kind of world, so what is required, that you need to go for more not fragmented, but more integrated knowledge base, okay, which does not require data or knowledge from your organization, but from a collective list of organizations, and then integrating that knowledge base for mutual benefits of everybody. Okay. So, that is another important thing, that you are going to create knowledge management systems, which is not going to be integrated even at the enterprise level, but also at the industry level. Okay. And at the same time, you also need to see that you are going to use various perspectives, different perspectives. What I mean by different perspectives? You are not going to look at only from the organizational perspective, but you also need to look at the individual perspective, technical perspective, social perspective, ethical perspective, customer perspective. So, there could be different perspectives, okay, and then you need to incorporate these perspectives when you are going to have an integrated knowledge management system in your organization, so that everybody is going to benefit out of it. Third point, it will continue to make trade-offs in numerous important areas. Okay. Yes, trade-off, that is the exchange. How are we going to use this trade-off in different areas? So, what we are going to discuss now is that how KM is going to have a trade-off. Okay. So, you need to move beyond information technology. Okay. Because knowledge management system is going to be more dynamic based on the progress that is happening in information technology. Okay. So, you have to see that how IT is going to help you to improve your costs, okay, performance ratio, in depending upon the investment in IT. Okay. And then when you are moving for digitization, what is the cost, okay, and also the cost of the coordination across individuals, groups, units and departments. Okay. So, that you are able to reduce cost to the extent possible, right. And then you also have evolutionary agents, okay, which are going to be different from it was earlier, like you need to world theories and you have to create a world of your own, okay, depending upon the move from physical to digital, or what you call physical to virtual, because your virtual identity is going to be different than your physical identity. Similarly, you have to see that you need to possess free will. What I mean to say, you need to make sure that you have the, you are not reluctant, but you are free to see that the information is accessed by anybody and everybody. Okay. You go for more knowledge sharing using this digital media, social networking sites, open source documents, so that information is available to anybody who requires it. That is very, very important. Okay. And you also need to develop a moral ethical code and a value system, for the people who are going to make use of this kind of system. So, you need to move beyond IT and need to create a system which is very, very important. Another important tradition that I was talking about, integration. Okay. Since you are going to shift from what you call virtual to physical world, okay, and most of the knowledge management system actually originates at the individual level, the tacit level. Okay. So, you have to see that how we are going to create more and more tacit knowledge through learning and development of the employees. Since KM is expected to continue with its use across network of organizations, you have to see that how different stakeholders including government is able to collaborate, make use of this knowledge, okay, and you are able to integrate diverse perspectives across disciplines and say units, these kind of things. Now, then the third part I was talking about the trade-off, different trade-off in different areas. Now, when I am talking about trade-off in different and important areas, you can see that how this communication technology is going to support sharing of knowledge within the organization, and also enabling the organization to leak outside the organization to its competing firms. Okay. And that is where the role of virtual media, what you call the digital and social media and the social networking site is very, very important, and you have to see that how we are going to make use of this communication technology for that particular purpose. Similarly, you also need to maintain a balance between using technology as a substitute for people. Do not think that KM system is only dependent on the technology, because technology is just one enabler, okay, which helps you to store and disseminate information. But when it comes to creation of knowledge, okay, people are more important, because ultimately you need to depend on people to create knowledge, right. So, you are going to use technology to see that collaboration happens across people, okay, within and outside the organizations, and also make sure that this technology enables the transformation of tacit knowledge into explicit knowledge into some codified and classified form, so that people can make use of it. Okay. So, ultimately we are going to conclude this. If you look at the future of knowledge management, okay, is where people and advanced technology will continue to work together. So, we have to see that people and technology both are going to rely on each other. So, they are interdependent on each other. Okay. So, we cannot say that people are less important and technology is more important. Similarly, the role of technology can also not be undermined, okay, because when it comes to integration of knowledge across domains, okay, that is where technology helps, but when it comes to creation of knowledge, that is where people have become more important. Okay. So, you have to see that how they can collaborate together to get better returns from the knowledge management system. And if you look at the future, it is going to be very, very important, because it would going to create new opportunities and options for the organizations, because the kind of knowledge that is going to be created, it is going to create a challenge for the organizations, that how people are going to make use of this knowledge to be more innovative in their behavior, in their approach, so that they are able to come out with new products and process in the systems. So, you have to see that how you are going to make sure people what kind of the challenges are basically in terms of leadership support, culture, in terms of creating and facilitating a knowledge sharing culture, then also how people are going to collaborate with each other. So, these are the challenges which is going to be there for knowledge managers in the future, and if they are able to enable these challenges, then probably the employee would be able to cope up with the challenges, okay, and which will come out with the products and services which is going to help the organization to grow and develop. Okay. And that is where we have to see that how knowledge management systems is going to evolve in the future, and how it is going to be affected by the technology, and in what way it is going to benefit the organizations. And that is how I am going to conclude my session. Thank you very much.